Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. Salt offers cash loans collateralized by Bitcoin and other cryptos. There are no income checks, no credit checks, and no origination fees. Salt offers comprehensive insurance for your collateral assets and locks them in deep cold storage with a robust multi-sig process for the duration of your loan. With Salt's online platform or mobile app, track your loan or make deposits and payments on the go. Pay back as much as you want whenever you want and wrap up your loan at any time with no prepayment penalties. Once your loan has been paid back, your assets are returned to you. Visit saltlending.com/Tatiana to sign up for an account and start exploring your options today. saltlending.com/Tatiana. This episode of the Tatiana Show is brought to you by Vaultoro. Vaultoro is a gold hedging solution for the crypto community. One of the challenges of investing in cryptocurrencies is dealing with volatility. Keeping a diversified portfolio is a key to healthy returns. I keep about 10% of my crypto assets in gold using Vaultoro. Vaultoro allows me to open a gold wallet in seconds where I can easily trade with cryptos and gold. What I like about using Vaultoro instead of Tether is that the gold in my Vaultoro wallet is insured, audited, vaulted in Switzerland, and unlike fiat money, gold has increased in value for the last 20 years. Visit vaultoro.gold/Tatiana today and get zero trading fees for the first 3 months. That is vault, like a gold vault, and oro, which is Spanish for gold. Vaultoro, ole! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tatiana Show. As you can see by my voice, this is day 2 of the Baltic Honeybadger Conference, and I'm finally getting around to doing some interviews with some of the wonderful people that I've been meeting here. I've been seeing a lot of great talks, and one of them is by Rigel Walshe. He was kind of merging a lot of culture and art into his crypto talk, and I'm really happy to have you chatting with me today. So, yeah, thanks so much. Me. Awesome. So for people who are not familiar with your work, if you could give us a breakdown of, a little bit of your background, sure. Where you came from and how you ended up here.
Sure. So, look, I currently work as a software developer. I'm quite new to programming, but I kind of had a religious revelatory experience that software is where I wanted to go with my life. So that's what I kind of do. But part-time, I'm kind of doing the digital nomad thing a little at the moment, and spend the rest of my time upskilling so I can be better at that. Prior to that, though, I first worked as a program manager for a program at home where if you're on welfare and you want to start your own business, I train them how to write a business plan and get funding for that. But my kind of main background is I spent 10 years in law enforcement. The last year and a half of that I was doing the residential protection team for the head of state at home. So that's kind of my professional background. But I guess the other thing we're talking about here is I play in a metal band called Diocletian, and I played in a previous band called Dawn of Azrael in New Zealand, and both those bands are pretty hard out metal sort of stuff, but we've toured around the world, released quite a few albums, and pretty active. And so that's my other string to my bow, I guess, if you like. And the thing I was talking about today was just the analogies or the correlation I see between those two things, or those things, and Bitcoin.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? What have you kind of concluded? Give people a little preview of the talk because they can check it out online. But yeah, tell us a little bit more.
Sure. So my talk was Bitcoin as a practical tool for individual freedom. And what I really talked about is first off, how Bitcoin is a tool that is going to change the world. And the analogy I made was like gunpowder, and that gunpowder was a revolutionary political tool that empowered certain people, and it changed the dynamics of power, right? So that was a control on the level of violence. But there's 2 other universal human languages that we all understand, and that's love and value and money. And Bitcoin is that speaks the language of the second one. So Bitcoin, what it does is it, like the way that gunpowder opened the use of violence to the common man and gave him a say when he, rather than being oppressed by the king or people that monopolized it. Bitcoin is going to do the same thing with the language of value and money. And so it's a great kind of opener, right? But because it's digital, it also has certain properties that make it different to the way the gunpowder evolved, and because it is open and decentralized, anyone can look at the code. No one has a monopoly on the IP, if you like, that is Bitcoin. It's people are able to collaborate and work together in a much more rapid fashion than they have in the past. And it's the cost of production is zero. There's no raw materials or no factories or things for people to monopolize. So that means that it's much more likely to be owned by specific smaller kind of organic groups. And it's the same thing in music, right? Like a record label doesn't decide what rock music or any style of music is going to go. It's these kind of emergent communities that control it, right? They're the people who own it. Because of that, I think that's the way that Bitcoin is going to move, is that these communities are going to direct it. And I talked about a really good book called The Wealth of Networks by a guy called Yochai Benkler. And he looks into what some of the implications of this new emergent way of communicating are, and how that we can look at that and be aware of what those properties are, so we make sure that Bitcoin retains a tool for the individual and empowers the users, rather than something that's co-opted by states, nations, other organizations that want to use it as a way to oppress people.
Awesome. I liked your slide that you had about the blank record. It's like a cassette tape, and it says, tell me what it says, because I can't quote it quite well.
It's the old Alternative Tentacles, which was the label that Dead Kennedys and things were on, which was we've left this side of the tape blank so that you can I can't remember the words exactly, but record basically so you can dub it and destroy the music industry by recording on it. And I think those sort of values are very integral to what Bitcoin is about. Like, we're approaching it with this kind of firm-based model that people are very used to, and what that means is they want to have a monopoly over the IP or the value proposition, right? So that they can control it and they can extract money and value out of it. But Bitcoin is a fuck you to that whole system, right? It's like the tape trading. It's people sharing and getting around these people that want to monopolize or control this thing, and giving organic access. And again, it's awareness of those values and putting them at the front, which is a very important thing. And I've things like Segwit 2x and Nicolas Dorier's BTC Pay Server, I think, are really good examples of this. But it's something that we have to be constantly vigilant about, and something that I think it's not very well articulated or understood at this stage in the community about the importance of those values. Is that this is what it needs to be about.
Have you communicated with any of your musician friends about some of this stuff? I mean, are they open to it? I feel like when I started talking to my music friends about Bitcoin, there was some resistance, but now there's a little bit more interest. You seem to have analyzed certain aspects of it even further. What do you think? What do they think of this?
So, I mean, I did try selling merchandise and CDs and stuff for Bitcoin back in 2015, but just no one wanted to buy it, which is a shame, because those t-shirts would have been worth a lot of money now. But not really. I mean, I'm in two minds about Bitcoin, right? And it's this thing like anyone that's down the rabbit hole just wants to tell the whole fucking world about it and go on about it forever. But I do think you lose a lot of battles by being this kind of a punisher, if you like, that's constantly trying to tell people about it. Where you can lead a horse to water and you can't make it drink, and I've seen that so many times with Bitcoin. So I think it has a lot of appeal, but I don't think it is quite the right time yet to put it to the fore, because it can become really cheesy. There's a right way to do it, and one thing that I have seen a lot is our band and metal in general is currently something where there's some interesting dynamics evolving about it. Look, it's always been like this, supposed to be like as offensive and scary and stuff as possible, right? In the 1980s, that was people, Satan this and Satan that, because that was the biggest way to piss off your parents and the establishment, right? But it's now a similar thing where what's happening with music, where the political correctness thing is really rearing its head in music, where some pretty ridiculous correlations are being drawn between people's particular beliefs or what they've said, and inferring that they're Nazis or some other sort of stuff like that. And it's just, you see the same thing in a few political areas. And I think anyone who's been in that space, and you've seen it with things that have happened with a place like Backpage, where when you experience that censorship, the value proposition of Bitcoin has an immediate appeal. And I think when that becomes a bit more apparent to people, like the connection is going to be there. So I think you kind of want to gently work it in, but the worst thing is to try and ram it down people's throat, because unfortunately, the majority of people in music still think if you say something for Bitcoin, they think, oh, you're going to show up your next show in a Lambo and, be Wolf of Wall Streeting around. And, there's a subtlety to what the culture is about, which is again what I was talking about before, and that needs to subtly make its way in. So I'm hopeful and I want to work in that way, but I just don't know if it's quite the time yet.
I have another question. So metal music is like not my style of music, but it is yours. So how do you figure out that you want to sound like a demon, and doesn't that hurt your throat?
It is a skill set that you need to develop. I think to me it's like music is just an expression of human emotion, right? And everyone has a range of them. And if you're not angry and aggressive about something in life, I think you should really evaluate your view of the world, right? There are many things that deserve that energy. And it's no different than like sports, like football or at home rugby or whatever you do. People need an outlet for that aggression, and music is that, and it's something that people can use as a way to express that. And rather than resorting to violence or doing something stupid, is that you can channel it in an artistic endeavor, so that you get that emotion out and express it, but in a way that's constructive and people can relate to and build something, rather than just fucking your life up, really. So that's a connection that I see.
But do you think? Okay, I get that, and I can understand that. Do you think that it riles people's anger up, or do you think it is do you think it's a release for the listener, or do you think that they're going to go out there and be like, I'm going to go bust some heads?
It's great for the gym. It's great for running. And so, I think that's probably the way, if you're not someone that listens to this music at all, is a way to view it. I find it incredibly relaxing, to be honest with you. It's very cathartic. To listen to that sort of stuff, and there's fantastic energy in metal music of any sort. And look, hey, there's a time when you want to listen to Vivaldi or, chill playlist number 42 or something like that to relax, and to study. It maybe not the best music to choose for that, but if you're actively doing stuff, I think it's a great soundtrack that kind of fills you. It's like caffeine, psychs you up, gets you active, and that's the appeal of it to me.
Nice. Have you seen any talks here that you really enjoyed, or anything that you have taken away from the conference?
I didn't catch quite as many yesterday as I would have liked to have seen. To me, like, what I found really interesting here is a lot of the monetary economics and Austrian economic stuff, which I'm supremely interested in, but I'm kind of cypherpunks write code, so I'm kind of like a little bit more focused on the coding rather than reading. And when you get into this thing, there's this humongous pile of stuff you've got to read and learn about that shows up. So to me, I always really enjoy Eric Voskuil's take on things. So I really enjoyed his talk. He's got a very kind of contrarian, specific take on what Bitcoin is, and to me, again, I think that's what is really needed in the space. Is there's no real monopoly on the truth, but it's an interpretation the same way that a band would play guitar a certain way that you dig, you don't dig, and it's the flavors. The variety of flavors is what gives you the options and creates a rich, dynamic palette, if you like, they're drawing on. So yeah, Eric's probably the one that I'd highlight at the moment, but we're still going through it, and there's a lot to be seen. So yeah.
Is this your first honey badger?
No, I came last year. Thankfully, last year was like 35 hours to get here from New Zealand. This time I came via Perth, so it was more like a measly 24. So it's not so bad. But last year was awesome, like really, really good conference. I quite enjoy the technical ones because I'm coding, but what I like about Honeybadger is it's got a very strong awareness of it's just kind of the values and the culture is good. And I think my favorite one, the one I really like, which unfortunately I wasn't able to make it out to last minute, was Hackers Congress. I think like that is the one that has the finger on the dial about what it's about. But I think Honeybadger has a similar kind of deal where it's a good you meet the right people and there's the right conversations happening.
Yeah, this is my first one, and I'm really, really impressed with it. Plus, I think the Latvian food is amazing, and the hospitality has been really nice. Anything else you want to tell the listeners before we sign off?
No, just, if you want to listen to some horrible, scary music and maybe you want to give it a try, my band is called Diocletian, and previously I recorded 4 albums with my old band called Dawn of Azazel, so if you want to check that out, go and have a listen. It's on Spotify and YouTube and everything else. And just thank you very much for the opportunity, and that, there is a correlation there to be seen between software and art, and it's something that I think we need to explore and more people to get aware of.
Why don't you give us your Twitter handle in case anybody wants to follow you?
Sure. So my Twitter handle is at Coinsure, COINSURENZ for New Zealand. So Coinsure NZ is my Twitter handle. If you're following my Bitcoin stuff, that's definitely the best place to probably keep track of me. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that That is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show. Thank you for listening to the Tatiana Show. Please follow us on Twitter at Queen Tatiana or on Facebook and Instagram at Tatiana Moroz Music. More episodes can be found at thetatianashow.com, and make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. The Tatiana Show has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.